Hello, this is Tony Jelks at New Era Productions through Brick Media. We're located down here on Fulton Street, Brooklyn. The topic today is President Trump, the Confederate flag controversy. I have some of the press have pointed out there were American Nazis there. Okay, there were. I have a copy of Mein Kampf. Now, no citizen has a right to defame another. The synagogues, churches, and others, people have a right to worship, but they do have a right to free speech. And I have a book. I read. At this point, I think I will bring this session to a close. I thank you all for care to listen, and I wish you all good afternoon and good luck. Thank you. Now, what is it? Adolf Hitler created an economy without colonies. The treaty was a bad treaty, and so what happened to the Jewish people? Had they handled the treaty right, that couldn't have happened since they were scattered in other countries. They were scattered in these different countries. The British government has consistently tried to steal history from Africans, distorted films, all sorts of where they claim things of civilization, trying to attempt to use the Bible, and Mein Kampf is not the birth of a nation is not outlawed here in the United States. I mean, if you look at the difference between the birth of a nation and Mein Kampf or the film Triumph of the Will is that is exhorting the German people to excel. The so-called Anglo-Saxon and others, Confederate white supremacists and other their idea is to exploit the people down. Cotton land, they took land from natives, Indian removal, the bison destroyed, shot from train, had rifles and gunned down, mowed down bison, and then the efforts at conservation, it was too late almost. They were endangered species, buffalo herds, and out of greed, pure greed, and it's just through exploitation. The Bible's used, so that's the difference between that and the white supremacists, the Anglo-Saxon. But I mean, The Birth of a Nation as a film is not barred. It was a very popular film once, 1915. The British had the French government had all 2/3 of the land, over 2/3 of and the economy collapsed when they crippled Germany with the treaty. And in a couple of years, Germany's productivity, the Volkswagen, they were number 2. So with all the British and they did not produce enough goods and services. There was the idea to take land from Asians and others and build their foundation. So Hitler at least believed it was enough land, good land for mankind, but Martin Luther is a symbol. But anyway, a lot of the blood and the war is the fault of the Allies. One-sided. Roosevelt threw Japanese in concentration camps. Huey P. Long was assassinated. He talks about Ernest Röhm. Ernest Röhm's murder in Germany didn't change history, but Huey Long's murder did. Equal justice. And so there was plenty of the good and evil. The colonial, Churchill defended it to the very end. Essentially agreed they had civilization in Africa long before they came. India and China. Well, anyway, if anything, there's no division that Trump started. It was there. It just simply wasn't being addressed. Some people have said he's been divisive. He didn't, but I mean, African Americans have constantly voted Democrat. So how could a lot of the wealth in their neighborhoods are controlled by others? So how could be divisive since things are one sided? They vote so much differently than the others. President Trump had nothing to do with this. Somebody have their vote in a bag. Affirmative action, a program that was 50 years old. Richard Nixon supported affirmative action. He supported black capitalism too. But some of the black caucus feels that you should almost like Stalinists control the means of production. There's some of them openly want to be want more and more government, and that's leading blacks down the wrong road. I mean, what they've had men like George Carver and inventions, and Louis Latner worked with the light bulb with Edison. So why shouldn't they own more, accumulate more wealth? But anyway, as far as getting back to the flag, he felt that some of the Northerners in Virginia came in with the violence. They weren't satisfied with taking down the flag with removing the American flag, with as far as a state symbol. But they just want to eliminate the Confederate flag. Want the things to see things their way or not at all, and that can't be. You have to. Lee, remember, if you go back to Lee when he surrendered, he urged reconciliation. And he is a symbol of the Southern boys and fighting were main factors in the war, a lot of the trainings in the South, and he was a great general. Of course, he said he was wrong in the succession. But there's also somewhat connected to this. It was some effort to condemn the Nation of Islam, and by some of these same groups that were they're the only ones that their ideas count, and if you don't agree with them, you should be put out the pasture. And I remember Dan Watts years ago criticized the Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a journalist years back, and he was barred. He accused the Jewish committee of barring him from. It was on ABC News. And, couldn't print anything. Couldn't print his books anymore. All he did was a journalist has a right to give free speech, but some of them don't believe in narrow-minded. Some of these efforts at calling America and Hitler was nonsense. I mean, what Hitler? He didn't bomb. There were actual anti-Semites killed just recently a whole synagogue. A horrible act. And the idea that he agrees with that, they were victimized by police and other breaking in, unarmed people, and they believe in small business because they don't agree with certain marches. The '63 parade with Philip Randolph, where they made all sorts of concessions. They did get a vote. They were unjust laws, but all sorts of concessions not to go into some all black in exchange for affirmative action programs. And now you have large numbers of, they have trade deficits, a lot of food stamps, vouchers, and subsidies, farm subsidies, paying farmers not to plant, get paid for putting nothing in the ground when they were fighting to have real farms and create real jobs. Um, of course, recently we had um, elections, and the Democrats have a slim majority in the House of Representatives. The Republicans appear to have as many as 6 seats, 53 to 47. So, right. They Trump has been criticized for condemning. He condemned white supremacy. I think he did. That's not true because I remember when the issue with David Duke, who was once in the Ku Klux Klan. He also defended Clarence Thomas as judge, a good thing, I believe, and he was a state legislator. But he did disavow support for him. But I mean, what point that they keep trying to make? I think the problems are economic. Racial relations are not that bad. Are not bad in the sense there's economic problems with issues with NAFTA, China trade, and a lot of talking by the previous administrations, Bush and Obama, but nothing done. And Trump is, of course, embodies the ideas of Ross Perot and America First leader Pat Buchanan, who was a candidate, a third-party candidate, a frequent critic of China trade, and he just simply is trying to, get things house in order. So I mean, that this talk about a country of immigrants and a country of this is just for any just do anything and have no laws that are enforced and just rhetoric. He brought an end to this. From time to time, the president had been criticized by judges about his statements about judges. But if you recall, Ted Kennedy was, of course, a Democrat, and he openly torpedoed Robert Bork's nomination. That was during Reagan's, President Reagan's was in office, and he got succeeded. He got a more moderate, so-called swing judge with Kennedy, who was far more moderate and protecting some sort of abortion and other other sort of left-wing ideas. Prayer, of course, being taken out of the schools, and the illegal Bible reading is illegal. House in order, they can get arrested. So I mean, if you this talk about a country of immigrants and the country of Bible, this is just for any do anything and have a lawsuit or have you arrested. Laws and that are enforced. And Kennedy also talked about and just rhetoric, how he was going to. He brought an end to this plan to torpedo, destroy Judge Chalmers's chances to be on the Supreme Court. He won by only two votes, he's only the second African American sit on the Supreme Court. A lot of people talk about Thurgood Marshall. That's the good old days of Thurgood Marshall and all, But what Thurgood Marshall, had he been here today, I believe he would have supported all of the gay marriage and abortion and continued to support the left-wing causes, so-called good old days. And I mean, of course, he was an astute lawyer. But what good old days did he represent? He made history, but I mean, Clarence Thomas wanted to interpret the law like the founding fathers, and this atrocious behavior against Kavanaugh and others to destroy his chances. What do you want to go back to the kindergarten? Nonsense. Bring up things that I can't remember when I was at the World's Fair. Somebody could bring up something there. Back when I was in the World's Fair in 1960s. But it was nonsense. But they just to want to make up the law, make up God's law and the Bible and other. Want Charles Darwin, I presume, his teachings in place of the Bible.